Well, Saturday has become the most funnest day for everyone. For today, we're going to be doing 5 reviews from 4 different promotions. First one is going to be, of course, Gatoh Move's much recent show from back on the 20th of November with Rivals, featuring the main event, the Asian Dream Tag Team titles. These are titles that, in fact, were regained by the Best Bros, but now they're going to have to face the team that dethroned them last year. So this is going to be a very interesting matchup. And of course, we have the much recent events with Stardom in Nagoya that took place on the 23rd. As you know, because of certain circumstances surrounding the absentees in Stardom, well, we know there's going to be a good show on this one. And as you know, we continue with more with New Japan's World Tag League. Unfortunately, they did not upload day 4, but however, we will be talking about day 5 involving Block A matches. And then, of course, we go back to back with AEW with Rampage and Collision. And then we cap it up with some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world pro wrestling. However, as you know, as we speak, we have already Survivor Series. Certain things have taken place that I think we're all going to have to address about. And a few other things, such as, of course, what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, any wrestlers that have been signed or departing from any promotion, any injured wrestlers, the whole enchilada. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of daily reviews on various wrestling promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, championships, factions, whatever we want to talk about. We also do some news updates in case I'm unable to put it on this episode. I can put it by itself at another later date. And of course, if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on the subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews on this channel and various cool things. But also, if you like this episode, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. On the like button, or leave us a nice comment down below. So let's begin with our very first review. This is Gatoh Move's Rivals show. This is one of the much recent Gatoh Move shows that took place in Shinkiba on the 20th of November. Now, this was something that's been announced. We only have 5 matches involved. Only one of them is a championship match. Now, it opened up with Mei Shiriga doing a little performance, all this other stuff, and then of course giving the lowdown on the entire event and all this other stuff. So we're very excited to see that. But let's get started with the matches. Our first match is a tag team. We have Antonio Honda and Tokiko Kihara taking on Kaori Yoneyama and Hagane Shino. Now, normally when we see Honda and Tokiko, they attempt to try to play dirty tricks in order to win their matches. But however, I did like how Hagane and um, Coyote were able to team up. There was like a double pinfall on Tokiko. I mean, you saw there was like a victory roll slash O'Connor roll mixed into one, 2 different type of rolls from each of them onto Tokiko. 1, 2, 3, just like that. It was over. Now we have another tag team match, but this one we have all Yoshi wrestlers. We have team number one, Sayaka Obihiro, teaming up with Prominence member Kurumi Higare, taking on the members of Colors, Yuko Sakurai and Saki. Now you probably would say this is going to be an interesting match. Yes, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm a fan of the of Colors, because they are what they are. But unfortunately, this match ended with, of course, what's her name, Obihiro applying a first like a magical some landslide, and then of course a schoolboy onto Sakurai to pick up the win. So I have to say, pretty good one right there. Next up, we have a six-man tag team match. Team number one, we have Munetatsu Nakamura, um, Hajime, and Dr. Gore. They take on Tamura, Shonshiru, and Harashima. So this this was going to be a very interesting match because I look at the team number one. They're more of the younger generation taking on wrestlers that have far more better experience. But in the end of this match, it was Harashima with a running Meteora onto Dr. Gore to pick up the win, just like that. But however, there was concerns over Dr. Gore that he might have hurt himself, but he seems okay in case anybody watched it. Now, our next match is a singles match from the Yoshis. We have Sayaka and Makoto. Now, these two ladies do have history. They have teamed up in the past. However, I have watched Sayaka grown up so much. She has shown a bit of the aggressiveness in the ring or in on the chocolate square. That's always been something interesting to see. However, how she match up against Makoto, who has a far more years of experience with her? Well, I have to say, even if Makoto does have the far more better experience than her, it was Sayaka who was able to hold her own. But unfortunately, that wasn't enough because Makoto applied a driver onto her. 1, 2, 3. It was done. Now, our main event is a championship match. Is the Asian Dream Tag Team titles. Now, let me give you a brief history about these two teams. First is the challengers, CDK, consistent of Masahiro Takanashi and Chris Brooks, taking on the champions, the Best Bros, Mei Shiruga and Balinaki. Now, these two teams had faced off faced off before. Uh, if you guys remember, the Best Bros during the time of the pandemic were the longest reigning tag team champions until they lost the belts to CDK. Now, CDK has been a very capable, strong tag team, but to me, I felt they never had the same kind of in-ring charisma that both May and Balian had together as a team. However, circumstances changed months ago when CDK defended those belts against Shin Dragon, Shin Suzuki, and John Shido due to the fact that Chris Brooks was injured and the match was given to them and they became tag champions. Now, due to some other circumstances, months later, Shin Suzuki got hurt during a Choco Pro event, and it was decided that, of course, that the tag team titles once again had to be vacant. However, there was going to be a match that took place involving the Best Bros taking on Hagane Shino and Kairori Yoriyama. But of course, after Best Bros won the tag titles back, they decided to right a wrong or rewrite what was wrong for them. They called out the team that dethroned them, and of course, that was CDK. And I have to say, this team rivalry between them is so amazing because it showed how much the CDK really despised the Best Bros for being the top tag team. But the Best Bros have always proven why they are the Best Bros from the very beginning. But in the end, it was the Dolphin Press that put away CDK, or should I say Masahiro Takanashi. 1, 2, 3 for the Best Bros finally get their redemption for that loss. And I think it was a pretty good one. Now, during the post show, they actually decided to celebrate the birthdays of Shonchiru and Yuko Sakurai. I have to say, it's pretty awesome to hear that they get to celebrate. But also, as soon as the celebration was over, Sayaka Obihiro calls out her tag partner that she had for the day, Kurumi, and they issued a challenge for the Asian Dream Tag Team titles. So basically, the Best Bros are now have new challengers, and this will be their second defense now. And of course, they would definitely say yes. They're not backing down. So we'll see where that leads us with these two teams. And I think that's pretty much it right now with Gatoh Move. Let's move on with Stardom. Okay, Stardom. Now, as I said before, as you know, a lot of things have gone to hell right now with Stardom because I could say that there's a lot of absentees involved due to injuries that took place. Now, I wasn't too sure how this particular show is going to be, so let's get started with it. This was in Nagoya that took place on the 23rd of November. First up, we have the new trainee, Yuzuki, taking on Miyu Amasaki. So I'm sure Amasaki is no stranger when it comes to facing against newbies. If you forget, Amasaki was a newbie herself about almost a year and a half ago, and now she is getting a little bit of experience, but not as in the level as her peers such as Kamitani, Utami Yoshida, and Azumi. But in the end of this match, it was the Tenzin who picked up the win for Amasaki against Yuzuki, and it was a pretty good one. I wouldn't be surprised that Amasaki decides to invite her to join Queen's Quest. I mean, she does seem like the Queen's Quest material, but I'm sure many of you would have a different opinion, and that's okay. So if you guys think that she should be with another faction, or do you think she's fit perfectly with Queen Quest, leave a comment and tell me. Now, next up, we have a three-way match. We have Hanako versus Starlight Kid versus Yuna Mizumori. So, as you know, Starlight Kid made her return to Stardom back in Gold Rush. Doesn't seem like she missed a beat, but it's great to see her back. And I felt like with her presence, it felt like, she's back with a vengeance. And of course, I think that's what she did when she applied the Black Tiger Leg Killer onto Mizumori to pick up the win. Next up, we have a really interesting match. We have Scandinavian Hurricane, or as we know her, Elise Inc., taking on Saya Ida. Now, you probably would think this was going to be a very tough challenge for Ida. I mean, despite the fact that she's short and she is strong as hell, uh, she would have taken every punch or anything against Scandinavian Hurricane. But however, it was the right high kick that put her away, and 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we had an interesting tag match. We have Oedo ties consisted of Ruka and Natsuko Tora taking on Hanan and Nanane Takahashi. So I thought it was very interesting team. I mean, Nanane has teamed up with wrestlers before, even if she's not part of their factions. But it's interesting to see that because Hanan has shown how much she has grown herself because she applied the 17 on Ruka to pick up the win. But of course, Natsuko Tora and the rest of Oedo are not thrilled with the loss of this match. But however, during the post match, Nine put out a very interesting pro and calls out Scandinavian Hurricane. Apparently, there was some sort of a dispute between them during a press conference, and Nine refused to let it go. But I wouldn't be surprised if there will be a match between those two somewhere down the line. Now, our next match, we have the winners of the respective tournaments. As you know, we have Megan Bayne, who is one half of the tag team winners of the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League, versus Suzuki, who won the 5-star Grand Prix. This was a huge challenge for Zuzu. Now, the reason I say this, she often said herself that she wants to be the face of pro wrestling, and she has never filtered this up. But of course, she's not afraid of anything. But however, she's afraid to lose. That's always been her thing. But however, she knew that she was facing against Megan Bayne. Unfortunately, this match ended in a time limit draw. I mean, you would have thought that Megan Bayne would have broken Zuzu's half in half, but no. It ended with, of course, time limit draw. But that's how it goes. Sorry about that. Now, our main event features God's Eye, consistent of the originals, Suri, Ami Suri, and of course Mirai taking on DDM's Maika, Masakurai, and of course Julia. And of course, there's a lot of implications involving this match because if you guys remember clearly, in the first round match of the right to challenge, Ami Suri will take on Maika in the first round. And you probably would thought this was going to be a very interesting match, but yeah. However, this was a very strong warm up for Ami Suri because she put away Masakurai with the like a thunderbolt, and it was over right from there. However, she still had some business to take care of with Ami Suri. With Maika. As you know, Maika's long desire is to win the red belt. She has challenged that belt many times, but has been unsuccessful. But however, Maika warned her not to underestimate her or the red belt. So basically, we'll see what happens. Now, there have been people that often said she should be winning the red belt, but I wouldn't be surprised if the match before the red belt happens in on December. Will feature Maika versus Zuzu. That's going to be a very interesting thing. But we'll see how that goes. But right now, let's move on with our next review, and that is World Tag League by New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, day 5. But before I proceed, let me explain to you guys what happened to day 4. Well, I don't know. Okay, I've been waiting for it. It did happen. I was so disappointed on that. I'm not sure if they will upload that one, but we'll just wait and see. If they do upload it, I'm definitely reviewing it. But right now, let's focus on day 5, only focusing on the A block matches. Now, our first match, we have Shota Umino and, of course, Ren Narita taking on the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan, and Teo Leona. Now, you probably would think this match was going to be a big challenge for Narita and Umino. Of course, you facing two of the toughest individuals, even coming from AEW. Now, there were many moments the Gates of Agony almost applied to open the gates onto one of them, but unfortunately, it was the Death Rider by Shota Umino onto Bishop Khan. That gave them their next 2 points. That leaves them with 2 wins and 1 losses with a total points of 4. As for the Gates of Agony, well, right now they're winless, no points whatsoever, so they're still at 0. Now someone commented this on social media that what was the point of having them lose if they're representing AEW? Well, it's things like that happen, but eventually they will pick up their first win at some point. We will wait and see until that day happens. Now our next match, we have the Bullet Club War Dogs taking on Chaos members Yano and Ishii. Now, you know the War Dogs are the most vicious team ever. They would do whatever it takes to prove a point that they are dangerous and they're willing to pick up wins no matter what. Now, you probably would have thought that Ishii's toughness would have been the much bigger factor in this match. Yes. But however, the one person who seems like they would figure as the weakest link is Yano. Not because, because he's scared all the time. It's because he has some tricks up his sleeve to pick up the win. But unfortunately, with the ref not noticing, Gabe Kidd got away with it with the fist and then the power driver, giving the War Dogs their next 2 points. So right now they're currently at 4 points with 2 wins and 1 losses. As for Chaos, just 1 win and 2 losses. Our next match, well, it's the most hated team ever, the biggest a-holes in the planet, the House of Torture, Yujiro Takahashi and Evil taking on Rohei Oiwa and Kaito Kiyomiya. Now, you probably would think this was going to be a very insane match. Not because, it's Kaito Kiyomiya. Well, it's because, we have that moron, the spoiler, Dick Togo, right there ensuring that this match will fall in. And of course, sooner or later, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, I'm talking about Show and Kanemaru, were going to show up. Well, they did. They kind of that, but however, what I did like is how they were able to hold their own no matter what. I mean, Kiyomiya was able to distract the referee on certain occasions without giving Evil the win. And then, of course, there was the Hurricanrana on Yujiro to pick up the win. And of course, the House of Torture would not tolerate the fact they lost, but it became a 5-on-2. But of course, Oiwa and Kiyomiya prevailed, surviving the onslaught. So they cleaned house. And they're not, and of course, if I was a House of Torture, don't mess with them. So right now, the 2-point system on these two, as you know, House of Torture, right now they have 2 losses and 1 win, with the total points of 2. Rohit Oiwa and Keito Kimiya with 4 points, with 2 wins and 1 loss. Now our next match, of course, last year these guys lost to them. We're talking about TMDK versus the United Empire. Great O'Connor, as you know, was part of that team that won, but however, he teamed up with Hinare. So this was a very interesting development, and I thought it was a pretty good match. I mean, many people can say that TMDK are the fan favorite to pick up the win, and I think it was a pretty good one. But however, they were able to apply the tank buster onto Khan and pick up a huge win for them. So I thought it was a pretty amazing one. So I think right now TMDK are my top pick in the A block. However, for them, they have only 6 points. So they are now currently in the lead with 6 points. As for United Empire, they only have 2 points with just 2 losses and 1 win. But TMDK, they're currently undefeated. So we'll see how this undefeatedness will remain for them throughout the remainder of the tour. But we'll be continuing to support. I think that's pretty much it with that. Let's move on with AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage opened up with Hook taking on Rocky Romero. So now, what I like about it is what the commentators made comments about this match prior before the start. That Rocky Romero became like the gatekeeper of New Japan, so he's sending the next generation, and of course, the old saying goes, Tony Khan sent Hook. But it was a pretty good matchup. I mean, a bit of the aggressiveness, but in the end, it was, of course, Hook who picked up the win with the red rum. Rocky just passed out just like that. Next up, it's the first time in a while since we've seen her since losing the TBS title. Chris Statlander taking on Diamante. Now, however, while this match was happening out of the blue, Mercedes Martinez, Diamante's tag partner, shows up and decides to get in her head. Now, of course, Chris Statlander was going to lose her cool, but however, she had to focus on Diamante, which she did until she defeated her and with the Discus Lariat 1, 2, 3. But as soon as the match was over, Mercedes Martinez and Diamante went on a 2-on-1 advantage until Willow Nightingale showed up to save the day. So I thought it was a pretty good, fantastic moment. So that's pretty much what happened. Now, our next match features the Kingdom and Bennett and Taven doing the little promos as always and all this and that. However, they face against a team you may have heard of. They are called themselves TME, better known as the Main Event. Duke Davis and Gannon Jones, but now they call themselves TME because, of course, there's the Main Event, which is the circus group that we've seen so far. But of course, this match was going to end with, of course, the Kingdom winning the match, and then of course they have now their sights set on the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. Now our main event is the Pure Wrestling Championship match from ROH. Wheeler Yuta, who has lost his belt to Katsuyori Shibata, is determined to win it back. Now, of course, Shibata is pretty good at that, but however, Wheeler Yuta without the ref looking, low blow Shibata, and then of course did a the seatbelt, and of course won just like that. But however, he decided to show some disrespectfulness by low blowing again, kicking in the groin. Shibata tried to disrespect him, showing him that who's the boss. But luckily, Hook showed up to give him a hand. But however, there is a caution that took place during that moment where the ref did not what that looks more like Shibata might have hit his head. Now, those who aren't familiar with Shibata that much, let me explain to you. Those who do know, you guys know what I'm talking about. Shibata was not has been out of action for a couple years due to a concussion that he obtained when he was in New Japan. But he decided to stay with New Japan as a trainer and move to LA. So right now, I hope that things are going well. We just gotta wait and see what the condition is with Shibata. I hate to see him that he has to step out of the ring one last time again. Many fans have asked for Shibata to come back, and he did under his own terms. So I think that's pretty much it. Rampage. Let's move on with AEW Collision. Okay, AEW Collision. As you know, we continue with more of the Continental Classic tournament, but this time we'll focus on the Blue League and several other matches in this one. Now, our first match involves the Blue League of the Continental Classic. We have what's his name, Claudio Castagnoli taking on Daniel Garcia. So I thought this match was pretty good because it showed that Daniel Garcia can step up to guys like Claudio Castagnoli and all this other stuff. He did pretty good, but however, it was the Ricola bomb by Claudio to pick up the win to give him his first 3 points. However, that similar little weasel in the post match showed up, Wheeler Yuta, to congratulate his compadre. But of course, many fans are saying because we have all three members of the BCC, Moxley, Castagnoli, and Danielson are involved. The heavy favorite in this tournament has to be Danielson, so we will see how that rolls up. Now, Eddie Kingston is sick and tired of people questioning him about the reasons for him making this decision to have his titles on the line. So he had to say it again, but people need to shut up and just understand what he's trying to do. I mean, we want to have a really good tournament here in America, and I don't blame him for that. But yes. Now, our next match is a 2-on-1 handicap. We have Kill Switch taking on the boys, Brandon and Brent. Um, you can tell that this match ended with Luchasaurus when he applied a very powerful lariat on Brent. But however, in the post match, Luchasaurus was intending to, Kill Switch, or Luchasaurus, however you want to call him now, intending to do the concerto, but luckily Edge showed up. Adam Copeland. However, he decided to do what he did to Nick Wayne to Kill Switch. So basically, he went ballistic on that. However, during a post-match interview, he explained his reasons that he thinks that Christian Cage has completely lost his mind, saying that that you are riding second coattails. That's what he believed in all this. So this time he said that what he did to Nick Wayne and to Killswitch was not his fault. This was his fault. So I don't know how Christian will say that, will respond to this, but we will see soon enough. Our next match, we have the House of Glory, the House of Black, for the first time ever teaming up, Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black taking on Gravity and Commander. Now you probably would say this is a very unique set of styles. I mean, you got guys who can ground the wrestlers down versus guys who are high flyers. So I thought it was a fantastic match, but unfortunately, it was the House of Black that picked up the win when I think was it Gravity? No, Commander was baited by Malachi Black and he suffered for it until Buddy Matthews applied the final coup de grace with the stomp, and it was over right from there. Interesting development we saw, as you saw, as we you saw, we saw, as you know, we have seen Action Andretti and Darius Martin have teamed up for a long time, for almost 8 months. However, it was time to step up the game, and we saw the return of Dante Martin. I'm glad he's back. I wouldn't be surprised if they make Action Andretti as a top flight. It would be interesting to see that. I'm not sure about you guys. Our next match is a open house rules match. No count out for the TBS title. Julia Hart defends her belt against Lady Frost, who was out for a month due to an injury, but she's great to be back. I thought this match was pretty great. However, there was a lot of the aggressiveness going outside the ring, but in the end of this match, it was Julia with the Heartless that picked up the win. Now, as you know, Don Callis and Hobbs had some things to say. They find this ridiculous standard about seeing Kenny Omega and Jericho getting an opportunity of the tag team titles. They just feel that this is a whole load of horse crap, in their opinion. But Hobbs thinks that he can take both of them out. We will see if that ever happens, but right now, we'll see what takes place. Our next match, we have FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler taking on the Righteousness, Vincent, and Dutch. Strong match, I have to say, very much, um, very interesting. It was the Shattered Dream onto Vincent on Vincent, and then pinned by Dax Harwood to walk away. However, it seems that there's still some unfinished business with the House of Black towards FTR. That's an interesting thing to hear. So they even mentioned CM Punk on that. So we'll see where that goes. Our next interview we have with Ricky Starks and Big Bill. As you know, they are the current tag team champions. Of course, they're not going to tolerate certain things. They talk about their personal lives, and of course, they are determined to prove that they are the number one tag team in AEW. So we'll see how long that gets. But we know for a fact we will expect Jericho and Kenny to get their tag team title opportunity. So we'll just wait and see on that. Now, our next match, we have Keith Lee versus Lee Moriarty. Now, keep in mind, Shane Taylor, who has his issues towards Keith Lee, sent Lee Moriarty. But you can tell this match was a very, very challenging match for Keith Lee. He knows it too well, but it was I don't know if it was a power slam or a jackknife to put Lee Moriarty away, and I thought it was good. However, during a post-match interview, Lee said that he is tired of the lack of the opportunities he's not getting, but he was referring to someone. We don't know who. I wouldn't be surprised if it's MJF. So we'll see. Now our main event is the Continental Classic in the Blue League. Brody King versus Eddie Kingston. I have to say, what a fantastic match. I mean, Eddie Kingston, he can fight no matter what. But unfortunately, it did not do any well for him because he ended up in Dante's Inferno, giving Brody King his first win. But we'll see where this goes from here on out. I mean, we've still got a long way to go. We will continue with more of the Continental Classic at AEW Dynamite this coming Wednesday. So I think that's pretty much it right now with all our reviews at this point. Let's move on to some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's get started to talk about what's been going on. As you know, the Collective, which is a variety of shows that happens during WrestleMania week, again takes place. Now they already announced that Defy will be part of their Collective for 2024. Well, it was announced during a DDT show. DDT has announced that they also will be joining the Collective for 2024 in Philadelphia. Now, it's not the first time DDT has done shows here in the States. Now, if you guys remember when WrestleMania was in LA, DDT had 2 shows took place. Can't wait to see how that's going to turn out. Now, Deadlock Pro Wrestling updated more on their upcoming matches for the 2A show on the 10th of December. The World Tag Team titles, the men will defend the belt against the Motor City Machine Guns. Now, that's going to be a banger of a match to watch. Now, the full card has been announced for the collaboration between both Prestige Wrestling and Tokyo Yoshi Pro Wrestling. Let me pull that up right now for all of you. So this is the card that they have. We have Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly taking on Miyu Yamashita and Maki Ito. Then we have Moka Miyamoto versus Trish Adora. Max the Impaler and Pam Harajuku take on Rika Tatsumi and Amari. Shoko Nakajima takes on La Huera Loca Taya Valkyrie. Sandra Moon takes on Mizuki. We have the current tag team champions, Hikari Noah and Naoki taking on Janai Kai and Johnny Ravi. And then finally, Hyan takes on Miyu Watanabe. I have to say, I like this card. It's a pretty interesting matchup. I can't wait to see it. Hopefully I can. Now, as you know, we have the new promotion known as Kitsune Women's Wrestling that took place last month in October. They announced for their Japanese show that will take place later on this month on the 29th in Shinkiba. Three matches have been announced for that particular day, and they're tag matches. We have Miyu Momono teaming up with Takumi Iroha to take on Ayame Sabamura and Itsuki Aoki. Then we got Magenta, Maria and Riko Kawahara taking on Shikayo Nagashima and Veni. And then finally we have Makoto and Hiroyo Matsumoto taking on Arisa Nakajima and Tomoko Watanabe. Now, the last thing I want to say this, you may have heard the news. I did not see Survivor Series, but I saw what happened at the end. The return of CM Punk. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk. Now, we've been hearing from time that talent don't want him. There are certain people in the upper management don't want him, but Triple H seems like he was determined to bring him back because that's what the fans want. So that is something that's been talking. Now, this is what happens. As soon as the match of the main event featuring the War Games for the men's War Games Judgment Day, apparently he comes out, but apparently there's been things. Seth Rollins was not happy. He was getting in his try to flip him off. It seems like he wanted to go out and beat him up. And many wrestlers are not happy with the idea that he was back. But Dominic Mysterio put something, he said, like, he's money. I mean, he's not wrong. But the fact is, there are some talent are not happy with Punk being there. Because you got to remember, Punk had issues towards the company. Well, let's just say with both WWE and AEW. So there was things that were going on. But this is something interesting that came out. What's his name? Matt Riddle, as you know, who was fired from WWE, had this to say: "Hey WWE, you thought I was hard to deal with? Have fun with 2-0-2." It's hashtag CM Punk. You know, Matt Riddle's not wrong. I mean, he was a difficult person to deal with, but we will see how WWE deals it. And I think that's pretty much it right now with all of our updates, with our reviews and our news update. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do for the next episode. Unfortunately, there were some circumstances that got in my way. I want to apologize for people because I did not do the episode like I should have. But right now, those circumstances still are in play right now. But I'm going to do the best of my ability to do these cool reviews for all of you. So right now, let's just wait and see what we go from here. But yeah, so I'm just going to wait for the next episode. So for right now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.